Okay, for part 3, remember we are going to create the inverse. So I replaced f of x with y. Now remember, we are going to switch the places of x and y. So notice I am now starting my equation with the letter x, and I'm going to write y under here in that square root. So now we need to start solving for y. Y is in a square root. So what I'm going to do is square both sides. X is going to just be x squared. But remember, when I square a square root, the root goes away. So this is just y minus 4. Let's go ahead and move that 4 over. It turns into a plus. And remember, we need to make sure that we state it in function notation. So we have to use that exponent of a -1. And we do not need to state any restrictions on that equation, guys, because that's just a parabola. So your input can be negative to positive infinity. All right, let's go ahead and talk about b. I'm going to go ahead and write y equals. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch places with the letter x and the letter y. Now this, oops, that's a y. This is pretty tricky. So first of all, remember, no matter what level of math class you're in, you cannot ever solve y when it's in the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides and just get rid of the fraction altogether. So it's going to be y plus 2 over there on the left side. And remember, it canceled out over there on the right side. So only the numerator is left on the right side. Okay, let's go ahead and distribute. So I just distributed the left side. Okay, this looks pretty crazy because I have y's all over the place. Remember, I'm trying to solve for y. So let me at least get all of my y's on one side of the equal sign. Okay, now we're going to roll. If you notice right there, I just shook my pen because I was so excited because we can factor out a y. There is a GCF over there on the left side. So when we factor out that y, this is what we're left with. We are almost done, guys. All I have to do is divide by that, and then y is going to be by itself. So when I divide both sides by x minus 1, I get y equals, hold on, let me show that I'm dividing because I want to make sure you guys are good on that. All right, those cancel. Now we have y all by itself. And remember, we do need to write it in function notation. Don't forget your -1. And then, congratulations to you for having your AirPods in or your volume on. You need to write the domain for this function. I ran out of room, so I'm not writing it, but I'm just going to tell you. You have to state the domain in your notes. Guys, notice x cannot be a +1. So somewhere in your notes, box it in so I can see it when you submit it, but you have to state the domain for that thing right there. That's my little exclamation point. That's me reminding myself to check for that domain on that problem. Oh my goodness, look. You have a free problem. You guys are so lucky. I am going to share a teacher gotcha with you. So important. So if you need to pause the video right now, pause the video, guys. Find somewhere where you are going to be able to write this down. Trust me, you so need to know this. Grab a sheet of paper, hit pause, come back. All right, so here's what's going on. We're going to find the inverse for this. So let me go ahead and do my work. Let me switch x and y. Let me get y all by itself. All right, so I move the 4 over, and then we have y squared. Look at that. We're going to have to draw a square root. What else do we draw when we draw a square root, guys? You know what we draw. We draw a plus minus. So, guys, right now, this is not a function. If you're trying to find the inverse function, we need to talk about what this graph looks like. Just real quick, I'm just going to graph that, the positive and the negative root. So remember, it was x, let me type this in real quick, x plus 4. And then, guys, watch what happens when I put a negative in front of that other one. Y'all, that is not going to pass the vertical line test. That is not a function. Do not fall for my teacher trick when it comes to parabolas. So look, in order for me to use function notation, you must restrict the domain. So you cannot have the plus minus. You cannot have the plus minus. So in order for me to write a function and use my little function notation with that -1 right there, it is just the positive root, or it is just the negative root, but it can never ever have a plus minus there. So make sure you don't fall for that teacher trick. Not both roots. Good job. Make sure you submit to Canvas.